Hi everyone, I'm very pleased to see you again. Thank you for watching, thank you for following us. Today I am in Saint Emilion. Saint Emilion is located on the right bank of Bordeaux, about 50 kilometers from Bordeaux. And today we are going to discover the Chateau Canon la Gaffelière, which is one of the first groves of Saint Emilion. You follow me? Hello Emily.
Hello Xavier.
I'm very pleased to be here with you today.
So it's really my pleasure to welcome you to Chateau Canon la Gaffelière.
Yes, we are in Saint Emilion today. Chateau Canon la Gaffelière, first growth in the Saint Emilion classification system. We have the beautiful view on the Saint Emilion hills just behind us. And this is the vineyard of the chateau. Can you tell us a little bit more about your job here?
So I work for this estate for almost 6 years, and I'm here to welcome the visitors, and I'm also in charge of a part of the communication, especially for the social media.
Because you welcome people all year long.
All year long we're open to visitors, and we make tours in French and in English to let people discover what we do here in our vineyard.
That's great. This vineyard has also a specificity. It is that it's a first growth, but it's still a family-owned winery.
Exactly. The chateau is owned by a German family, the Count von Neipperg's family. It's a family from the German aristocracy. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they were winemakers in Germany first, and they bought this estate in 1971. And today, the owner, Stefan von Neipperg, lives on site in the estate with his wife, children, and we can say that the family is completely involved in the whole winemaking process.
And a few years ago, they decided also to turn the vineyard in the organic
farming. Exactly, yes. In fact, in the 90s, they noticed that the soil was a bit poor because of all the chemicals which have been used previously. So step by step, they transformed this estate in an organic estate. They stopped the use of chemicals and other pesticides, which means also that Canon la Gaffelière was the first classified growth, officially organic, certified in Saint Emilion.
That's quite rare too.
Yeah.
And you grow your own baby vines.
Yes, it's also a part of the philosophy, in fact. It has been decided not to use clones coming from vine nurseries. The chance we have here is that the vineyard is very old, 80 years old for the oldest vines and 50 years old for the average. And we have noticed that the oldest vines were much more diversified than what we can find by vine nurseries. So we started to select them, and today we have in average 250 different families of Merlot and Cabernet Franc.
So it's a selection of your best.
Of our best vines. Next step will be explanation about how we make the wine, because here it seems peaceful and quiet, but it doesn't mean that we are on holidays. We still have work, but inside. So normally we start the harvest on the second half of September, and this harvest will last 3 to 4 weeks. We have a very large team during that period. We have up to 100 grape pickers because all the grapes will be picked by hand. And it lasts a long time because we have 3 different grape varieties: Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon. And not all the grapes are ripe at the same time. So we need to taste the grapes and we decide when we pick the plot A, the plot B, etc. Then we'll bring the grapes here in the vat house, and this is where we will do the sorting out of the grapes.
So the grapes goes into the vat?
Yes, after the sorting out and the destemming of the grapes, we remove the stems, we keep only the fruit. Everything will be brought to the top of the tanks. The grapes fall by gravity into those big wooden tanks, and the grape will stay here for 1 month. During that month, we'll have 3 stages of the winemaking process: maceration, fermentation, and another maceration to extract all the aromas and all the color.
But you do not keep all the grapes. You do a sorting, you do a selection.
Exactly. The selection is done by hand, and this is very important to keep only the best grapes.
And then when the wine leaves the vat, the wine goes into the barrels for...
Yes, usually it starts in November. We do the devatting. We will remove just the liquid part, so just the wine. The skin, seeds will be kept apart. And we will put the wine into the wooden barrels to start the aging. And then it will be a much longer process, which will last 16 to 18 months. And much more, yes, peaceful.
Peaceful.
Yes.
That's what we are going to discover now?
This is what I will show you, the beautiful cellars where 2 vintages are aging now, 19 and 2020.
Great, I follow you.
Let's go.
And now start what we call the aging process.
Exactly. So here we are surrounded by several hundreds of barrels which contain the vintage 2019. In fact, right now we have at the same time two vintages, one cellar for the 2019 and another cellar for the last harvest 2020. The wine will age here for 16 to 18 months. So of course, during a few months, we have two vintages at the same time.
So it's a very long stage, very long process, very quiet, very peaceful.
Exactly. During that process, the wine will take some aromas coming from the barrels and some tannins too. For that reason, the wine is not blended yet. We have some barrels with Merlot, others with Cabernet. The aim is really to adapt each barrel to each lot of wine. Those barrels are made by 8 different barrel makers, 8 different coopers. So each barrel has its own characteristics.
Flavors, etc.
Exactly. Even the size of the barrel change. Some traditional barrels, the Bordeaux barrels, contain 225 liters. Some barrels are a bit bigger, which means that it will influence differently the flavors in the wine.
And this is the choice, the blend is the choice of the master cellar, of the owner, of course.
And the owner, yes.
Is involved in his wine.
Exactly. There will be some tastings organized this month in January and also February with the whole staff, the owners, the cellar master, the technical director. They will taste each sample and in March they will decide what will be the blend of the vintage 2020. So they decided very early in order to help the team to adapt its work to the final blend.
What is interesting as well in that bathroom, it is that upstairs is the house of the owner.
Yes, just above the aging cellars, we have the house of the owner, so he can keep an eye on the barrels anytime.
That's a very, very nice piece of wood. You keep them for 2-3 years?
Exactly, we have to renew the barrels because with the time the flavors and tannins will disappear. So here, right now, 50% of the barrels are new, 50% of the barrels have already been used for one vintage. Usually, after 3 years, we remove them.
You remove them.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. Thank you very much. What is the next step, Emily?
Tasting, of course. Tasting, of course.
Emily, we are in the tasting room now. That's where you welcome the people at the end of the tour. So you come here for a tasting. What do you offer for a tasting?
So for this tasting, we usually offer 3 wines. As I told you earlier, the owner has different chateaus. The wine is made by the same team, but each chateau has its own terroir. And this is what we want to show to the visitors, the diversity, in fact, of the vineyard and of the terroirs of Saint Emilion. So the wines we usually taste are Chateau d'Aiguille, Clos de l'Oratoire, and Canon la Gaffelière. You have right now in your glass Canon la Gaffelière. This is usually the last wine we taste in order people see the end of the whole process we have exposed together.
And what is interesting as well to test the 3 different wines, it is that the chateaux are located in 3 different areas.
Exactly. When we taste Chateau d'Aiguille, we taste a wine from a plateau, from the top of the hill, on the typical soil, clay and limestone. When we taste Clos de l'Oratoire, we taste a wine from the northern slope of Saint Emilion. And when we taste Canon la Gaffelière, we taste a wine from the foot of the southern slope of Saint Emilion, that soil made of sand and clay, which gives that finesse to the wine, and which give a beautiful expression to the Cabernet.
So it's a way to experience the diversity of the Saint Emilion terroir, of the rye bank, and also to see the impact, the influence of the soil on the fruit and on the final result, which is the wine. What are we tasting now?
Chateau Canon la Gaffelière 2016. We could say this is a baby wine for us. It has been bottled only in 2018. So it's in the bottle for only 2 years. So that's why you have this beautiful dark color and that smell very powerful, because it's a very young wine which will have the capacity to age 10, 15, 20 years or more. 16 was a beautiful vintage here in Bordeaux.
We know that the characteristic of the great wines is the aging potential. So you have to age your wine in good condition, of course, but you can age it for 15, 20 years. Cheers, Emily. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to welcome here at Chateau Canon la Gaffelière. So if you want to experience a visit here and beautiful wine tasting that they have to offer, you come, you take an appointment, because visits are only by appointment.
To I have the best quality, it's only made by appointment. Yes, with very small groups also in order to have time to have an exchange.
And maybe the chance to meet the owner as he's living here as well. And thank you very much, guys, for following the video. I hope to see you very, very soon for new wine adventures. Bye-bye and cheers.
Thank you, bye.